You may need to check whether a date that's entered in your workflow is before or after a certain other date or within a certain amount of time. So you may need to check if a date that's entered was within the last year or the last 3 months or the last 30 days, for example. And this can be done using invisible logic. So here in this workflow already, we have a date type question with the variable name request date. And this is where our user will enter the date of their request. And then we need to check if the request has happened within the last 3 months. So to do this, we're going to add a page and add an invisible logic question to that page. Then on this invisible logic page, we've created two variables. One is a date type variable that we're calling 3 months ago. And here we'll determine the date that was 3 months from the current date. And then we've also added a yes/no variable called date in range that we'll use to set our logic. So first, for this date type variable 3 months ago, we're going to add a value here because we want it to be calculated the same way each time. So this equation is going to be today, and then the operation subtract months, and then the number 3. So this will tell us the date that's 3 months before today. Then in the add invisible logic section of this page, we're going to set our logic. So if request date is, we'll say, greater than or equal to the variable 3 months ago that we calculated on the previous page, then we want date in range to be yes. Otherwise, else, we want date in range to be no. And then we can set logic based on this date in range variable. So we have an additional page that asks for additional information, and we only want this to be shown if date in range is yes. And then we have another kickout page that shows if the date in range is no. Now when we run this workflow, we can see that if we enter a recent date in this question, then we see this page asking for additional information. But if we enter an older date, then we'll see that our date was out of range and we're not eligible.